Alright, what's up you guys? This is BoxingWave. I'm going to talk about a lot of things in this video. Alright, I'm going to try to wrap this whole heavyweight thing up right now. Okay. I'm going to talk about Deontay Wilder in his last fight against Stiverne. I'm going to talk about Anthony Joshua and his fight with Carlos Takam. Okay. I'm going to discuss Luis Ortiz. Okay. I'm going to discuss Joseph Parker briefly. Okay, Dominic Brazil, because he beat Carlos Molina. I didn't watch that fight, but he's probably setting up to fight Deontay Wilder. All right, I'm pretty sure that that's the fight we're gonna probably see next. Okay, especially because there's some bad blood there between the two. All right, and I'm also going to talk about what's this cat's name? Dillian Whyte. Okay, I'm going to talk about Dillian Whyte and him fighting Deontay Wilder. So, this is going to be a long video, all right? Which is cool. I don't make that many videos these days, so I might as well get everything out there while I'm making a video, all right? I'm going to make a separate video after this one. I know you guys been asking me for the Rigo Lomachenko breakdown. Okay, I did one before, but I'm going to do an updated one. I'm going to get that video out there, right, before the fight, okay? If I can get some time to do it today, I'll do it today, all right? But I'm going to speak on some things, some personal things in another video. And I want you guys to understand why I don't really make that many videos anymore, okay? But I'll get to that in a separate video. Let's start off with what's fresh, all right? Wilder knocks out Stiverne in the rematch. Okay, I watched the fight live. I didn't go to the fight because, you know, I knew the outcome of the fight. Stiverne hasn't been active since he lost to Deontay Wilder the first time. Okay, he's 39 years old at this point. I don't see him as a top heavyweight anymore, you know, and this was part of the reason why I was so upset when the WBC made him Wilder's mandatory in the first place. All right, I was very highly upset with that. And then the whole Luis Ortiz thing came out. I didn't make videos on that because I was trying to see what was going to happen. You know, I was waiting to see what was going to happen. I thought it was kind of strange. I thought it was kind of random that they were fighting each other. But I'll speak on the whole drug stuff and everything like that later in this video, okay? As far as the fight this weekend, Wilder folded your boy Stiverne, okay? It was enjoyable to watch. It was fun. I just got to realize at this point, and for the people that dislike Wilder, I don't dislike Wilder, okay? I do have a problem with his resume, okay? I thought he took very, very long for a guy that's been following him since before I had a boxing channel. I thought it took him too long to step up, okay? And I've explained that in plenty of videos, okay? As far as his fighting, a lot of people judge him based on how he fights, okay? There's times where Wilder lives by his name. He starts wilding out and swinging and doing crazy shit like he did in this past weekend, okay? This guy literally ran up on Stiverne like it was a street fight and just started swinging at him. And we've seen him do that plenty of times. Okay, he's done it so many times in fights where he's up ahead. But then there's fights where, even in his last fight when he fought Gerald Washington, okay, where he's being very patient and he's looking for the right shot, the right opportunity, okay? What I realize is Wilder fights in different levels. It's depending on who he's fighting and how they're fighting him. Okay, he can turn it up, and he cannot be underestimated at this point. You know, if you're still underestimating Deontay Wilder, you can't. You can't base it just off the fact that he's fought bums. If you really truly believe he fought bums, I wouldn't say he fought bums, just bums. There are people I think that, you know, obviously I think Joshua has fought people that are better than the guys that Wilder have fought. I even think that Takam is better than the guys that Wilder fought. I think Takam is better than Stiverne, you know. And Joseph Parker beat Takam, you know. I think there are people out there that Wilder could have fought that are better than the guys that he's fought in his career, okay? But at the same time, you can't knock out, he's knocked out every fighter that he's fought, okay? Not all of them are bums. And if Wilder was really, truly overrated, he wouldn't have knocked out all of these guys. You know, I have to at least give him that. I think all of us need to at least give him that, okay? You cannot go this long being undefeated, knocking out every single fighter that you fought. Every single one. Every single one of those guys, he knocked out, including Stiverne now, okay? And he did Stiverne dirtier than anybody else, you know? As far as the good fighters that he fought, he did him dirty, you know, because there was a lot of build-up going up to this fight. And, you know, I've been listening to people, and they're talking about the Stiverne first fight. A few weeks ago, I had some downtime at work, and I was actually watching the first fight. And, you know, Stiverne really didn't do that bad. You know, Wilder clearly won the fight. But Stiverne had a lot of good moments in that fight. He landed a lot of big shots. And he's a guy that has good knockout power, you know. And Wilder took a lot of his big shots, you know. And there was a point where Wilder did slow down, where he wasn't as mobile, you know. He wasn't as quick on his feet. And he was taking a lot of shots from Stiverne, including to the body, a lot of body shots, you know. And I remember when that fight first ended, you know. I remember that night. I remember that night clearly. And I remember that I was very happy that Wilder won that fight, okay. And I thought it was a good fight. I knew the rematch was bullshit. I thought the rematch was bullshit. But the first fight was a legit fight, you know. Neither one of them really proved anything in their career to me at that point. And I thought it was a legit fight. I thought it was a legit 50-50 fight, you know. At that time, Stiverne was a little bit more active, even though it was just Areola that he beat and stuff like that. But at that time, it was a legit fight. Areola was a better fighter at that time too, okay? So you got to be fair with that, okay? But he folded Stiverne, and it was cool for what it was. Okay, for what it was cool. I personally think a lot of people can beat Stiverne today. Stiverne is not a top 10 heavyweight to me anymore. And what I told you that before this fight. Stiverne is just irrelevant in the heavyweight division. Okay, but Wilder folded him. He did what he had to do. You know, there's guys that go, and leading up to the fight, you know, I wasn't really sure, because I thought Wilder's focus was too much on Anthony Joshua. Okay, all of these interviews, all the social media posts, I was actually worried. I was actually a little worried for Deontay Wilder going into this fight, because he didn't seem to be focused on Stiverne at all, you know. And you know, I thought, you know, the last thing we need right now is for Wilder to lose to Stiverne. You know, it just wouldn't be a good look, because I know there's a lot of people that hate Wilder that want to see him lose. But I don't want him to lose. I actually want him to fight Anthony Joshua. And if Stiverne were to win that rematch, if he somehow won that fight, the heavyweight division would have went right back to shit. You know, because Joshua would have fought Stiverne and probably knocked him out. No one would have respected Deontay Wilder then. It would have been a mess. You know what I'm saying? I really don't want Joshua to lose. And I don't want Wilder to lose until they fight each other. Okay? As far as Parker, I would respect it more if either one of those guys would lose to Parker, because Parker is a champion and Parker is a good fighter. But if they were to lose to someone leading up to that big fight, that mega fight, I would be disappointed, you know? So I don't want Wilder to lose, all right? I want this fight to happen. We just gotta, these guys gotta just keep winning, all right? Now, as far as Anthony Joshua and Carlos Takam, okay? I thought the stoppage was premature, you know, like most people. Takam was giving him a good fight, you know, and then Takam is still a guy that, even though he lost to Povetkin now, he lost to Parker, he's lost to Wilder, you know. I'm sorry, he lost to Joshua now. I thought the stoppage was premature. I thought Takam was giving him a good fight, and if he went to distance, he deserved. You know, he deserved to go to distance. You know, if this guy couldn't stop him, it is what it is. You know, this perfect record stuff is bullshit, you know. I don't like the way these promoters are promoting the fighters now with their records. You're not, you know, at once before it was all about being a champion. Now it's more about this perfect record thing. You know, let's keep these knockouts going. You know, let's keep these, you know, guys at undefeated. You know, these guys are defending their undefeated record. You know, like shit like that. You know, if Takam made it to distance, it is what it is. You know, Joshua was clearly up in the fight. All right, Takam was still pressing forward. He was still coming forward. You know, he got a bad cut in the beginning, all right, and he fought through it. There was times where I thought the fight was going to get stopped. I thought that there was times where Joshua was going to stop him, all right, but he fought through it. He got knocked down, and he fought his way, and he was seeing clearly out of both eyes. I thought Joshua was rallying at that moment, okay, but Takam was slipping a lot of those punches. He was. You know, I heard somebody compare this to Floyd and who did he just fight? McGregor. You know, and it's no comparison. You know, it's no comparison. You know, Takam was standing right in front of him. You know, and he was slipping punches. You know, some were landing, but nothing. He didn't seem bothered by anything that Joshua was landing. You know, so I thought that was a little unfair. But I thought Joshua was winning, okay, clearly, you know. I think Takam could have got a few rounds maybe at tops, but Joshua was clearly winning the fight, you know. I just didn't think it should have been stopped. And you never know. There was still a couple rounds left. You never know. Takam might have came back and won. He might have came back and landed a big shot. Joshua might have got tired again, you know, because he does have stamina. Now, I know everybody's saying it. Even Wilder's been saying it. He has some serious conditioning issues, okay? He looked slow in this fight, you know, even early on. I don't know if it's because he's slowly putting more pounds on. I don't know. I know he weighed more in this fight and any other fight. I don't know what the issue is, you know. I don't know what they're working on in camp, but the skills he has a good enough skill set to beat anyone, possibly beat anyone in the heavyweight division. And I'm not including Tyson Fury because I know he says he's coming back. I don't believe it until he's back in the ring, okay? Until he has a fight schedule and he loses all of the weight. I don't see Tyson Fury being relevant in boxing right now, okay? I personally think Tyson Fury would beat Anthony Joshua if he was back on his A game. But right now, he needs to return first, okay? I just don't believe it right now, all right? He's said that he's going to come back a couple of times, you know, and he hasn't shown me he has the will to come back, all right? But I think Joshua has the skill set to beat anyone in the heavyweight division, all right? He's pretty good, you know, and he's a big guy. He has a lot of power. But he looked very slow in there. And Wilder's going to be bringing different problems that some of the issues we seen against that Takam brought against Joshua, we'll see Wilder bring. You know, Wilder is very fast. You know, I believe it or not, Wilder's a lot faster than most heavyweights. Okay, he's slim. You know, for his size, for a guy that's 6'7", he's pretty. You know, you're 6'7" and you're 220. He's very slim. You know, you see how skinny his legs are. He has a big upper body, but the guy has fast hands. He's much faster than Anthony Joshua. Okay, and he moves a lot more than most of the guys that Anthony Joshua has faced. You know, Takam has some pretty good defense. You saw a lot of experience and skills in there when Takam was fighting him. He brought a different danger to Anthony Joshua, which is good. Which is good, just like Klitschko did. And he's getting better. He's improving. Joshua is improving, and that's good. But what I'm saying is, when he fights Wilder, okay, you got to understand that they acknowledge that there's some danger there with Wilder. You know, the Sky Sports interview, I did see that interview, okay, where Joshua was talking about, oh, no, maybe it'll be 2019, 2020, 21. You know, he finally acknowledged that there is some danger there with Deontay Wilder, okay? I've heard, you know, them having talks with possibly having a big fight with Joseph Parker next year in the UK, you know, in the stadium and everything. And they're clearly waiting to fight Deontay Wilder. And it's for two reasons. For one, because they want Joshua to be ready and improve, to continue improving. There's some doubt over there on that side with Eddie Hearn. There is some doubt, and there should be. Wilder is a dangerous fighter. Wilder he has real power, like he says. He does. Regardless of how good you think he is, the guy has some serious punching power. Okay? The way he knocks out his opponents, even though they're not the absolute elite fighters, the way that he's laying these guys out is abnormal. Okay? The guy has some serious knockout power. Okay? If you don't believe that at this point, then I don't know what to tell you. You know? But he is able to turn a fight around in an instant. And that's always scary. No, he has not looked as impressive round by round like an Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua won, outside of the Klitschko fight, Anthony Joshua has won almost every round in his career. You know? I can't say the same with Deontay Wilder. Okay, when he was fighting Spilka, I thought he lost a good majority of those rounds. You know, there was some other guys that he fought that gave him some trouble in there, all right? But once he hit him, even Gerald Washington arguably won the first 3 or 4 rounds. Gerald Washington. But Wilder was relaxed. You know why? Because he knew. He knew. As soon as he landed, it was over. He turned the fight around. Gerald Washington always had stamina issues. He always had conditioning issues. He can't keep the fight up. He can't fight at the same pace. Gerald Miller showed that too. You know, you gotta put all of these things into. You gotta account for all of these things. Okay, even if you think Joshua is better, he slows down. Okay, he slows down, and Wilder, he has a lot of power. You know, it's no combinations. He just knocks you out. You know, it's sloppy. It doesn't look pretty, but it works. It's working. And you just got to accept it at this point. You have to. Even if you don't like the guy. You may not like the guy, but you just have to accept it. He's dangerous at the end of the day. You know? So with that fight, I want to see the fight. All right, I would like it to be next. I know people want Wilder to prove himself and fight some in the elite, but at the end of the day, he holds a belt. At the end of the day, he holds a belt. If Stiverne won the rematch, I'm sure Joshua would have had no problems fighting Stiverne. That's just how boxing works. Let's not act like, listen, they already acknowledged that this guy is a dangerous fight. Take it for what it is. It is what it is. You know? It is what it is. You know? I would like to see Wilder fight someone that's good, though. I would like to see it. You know, I would like to see the Dillian Whyte fight. I would like to see, I want to see that fight. I like Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte is a good fighter. Dillian Whyte, to me, is a top 10 heavyweight. I would like to see that fight. You know? I don't hold him as high as I did as a Povetkin or Ortiz. You know, both of the guys that Wilder was supposed to face before they popped. But I think Dillian Whyte is a very, very credible opponent. And you can make the argument that he's the best fighter that Wilder has faced. I think Dillian Whyte is more proven than anybody else that Wilder has faced. That's just my opinion. Even with the loss to Joshua, you know, I like Dillian Whyte. I think he's good. I think he's a legit opponent. You know, and you know, I heard Eddie Hearn and you know, they're trying to push that fight and they're throwing a lot of money over there to Wilder. I don't have a problem with that. My problem is, why not include Joshua in the package? If you go out there, if Deontay Wilder goes out there in the UK, goes out there, fight Dillian Whyte, looks good, impressive, you know, finishes Dillian Whyte, why not fight? Why not include that in the package and have him fight Anthony Joshua? Even if he beats Whyte, right? Doesn't knock him out, but let's say Wilder beats Whyte and doesn't look that impressive. Let's say it's a tough fight that goes the distance, you know. Still, why wouldn't Joshua fight him after? If he doesn't look impressive, jump on that opportunity. Joshua looked impressive against Whyte. So if Deontay Wilder doesn't look impressive against him, that's more of a reason for you to want to fight him anyway, because at least you're more sure that you could possibly beat him. You know? You should at least be more confident that you can beat him. You know? Now, if he goes out there and looks impressive and looks even better than Joshua did and knocks Dillian Whyte out, then fight him anyway. You know? He went out there. He goes out there in the UK, looks impressive. You know? At least everybody in the UK is watching him now. And make a super fight out there in the UK. I just don't understand. I don't understand why just not let the fight happen at all. And listen, it's not that I'm changing my tune at all. I've been highly critical of Deontay Wilder because he hasn't fought anyone. And he went too many years not fighting people. You know? And I knew the Povetkin fight got ruined because of Povetkin. And I know in the Luis Ortiz fight got ruined now recently. You know, recently got ruined. But he still doesn't have anyone on his resume, regardless of people backing out or whatever. Whatever the occasion is, he still doesn't have any. I'm not going to give you wins over people you don't fight. Regardless if they tested positive and they got caught cheated. That doesn't count as a win. You know, you still didn't fight those guys. But at the end of the day, I got to call spade a spade. At the end of the day, Joshua should be fighting Deontay Wilder. He should be doing it. We shouldn't be talking about 2019, 2021, to whatever years he was talking about on Sky Sports. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, man. Like, come on. Especially if you guys both get your mandatories out of the way. Do what you got to do. Unify. Let's get an undisputed champion, you know. I have no problems with neither one of them fighting Joseph Parker neither. You know, there's people out there that think Joseph Parker could beat both of them. You know, not many, but there's people out there that believe that. He is a champion at the end of the day. You know, so those fights are cool. Unified, but it should be nothing but unification matches at this point. Joshua has fought nothing but good people. He has fought nothing but good people. So I have no problems with issues with Joshua. The only issue I have with AJ is that how long are y'all going to push away and continue to avoid? And you haven't always avoided Deontay Wilder. But now it seems like AJ and Hearn is avoiding Deontay Wilder. You haven't always avoided him because you was fighting solid guys before. And it seemed like they fought good fighters all the way up until they fought Klitschko. Once they fought Klitschko and beat Klitschko, everything changed. Everything changed. The interviews, you know, they're different. They sound a little different from before. That's what I'm saying. I'm talking about the past few months. The interviews have been a little different. Now, all right, they beat Klitschko. They got the 2 belts. Now the interviews are a little different. I had no problem with him fighting Pulev. I had no problem with that. You know, Pulev, you know, the fight fell through. It is what it is. But when it comes to Deontay Wilder, I'm just not liking their tune when it comes to the fight with Deontay Wilder. All right. All right. I'm gonna talk about the Ortiz situation real quick. All right, and I want to move on for all of this. Okay. I was watching Victor Conte's video about, he's pretty much explaining the whole Luis Ortiz situation and why, you know, he was pretty much blaming the reason why he popped on these drugs and, you know, high blood pressure pills that he was taking and stuff like that. The thing is, he was blaming it on negligence, you know, and he was pretty much saying that these kind of drugs, or what he failed to test for, wasn't big enough for them to cancel the fight. All right. Now, he's the expert. I'm not. All right. So I really don't know whether or not these drugs are bad enough to where the fight actually has to get canceled. Okay. He was comparing this situation to what tennis players had gotten popped on in the past, and it was pretty much a slap on the wrist type of thing. So when it comes to that, I don't know. Okay, I can't speak on that because I'm not an expert on any of this stuff. All right, that's how he feels about it. All right. My thing is, as far as it being, as far as the negligence, all right, and how Luis Ortiz don't know English, so they might have read the contract wrong or the application wrong and things of that nature. I'm calling that bullshit. You know why? Because if you don't know English, your trainer, whoever it is that's filling out this application, you hire someone that does, all right? When this much money is involved, okay, you're supposed to have managers and lawyers that know how to handle these type of situations, okay? You don't have a random guy just check off stuff on an application, on a drug application. You know what I'm saying? If you're taking any kind of medications, you're supposed to list that down. You know, I donate blood every few months or so, okay? I have to fill out the same application every single time, okay? On it, the question that they ask me, do you take any medications for anything? And I check no. I check no because I don't take any medications. Okay? That's it. It's that simple. If you don't understand it because you don't know English, then you have someone that does know English fill it out. Okay? Someone that you trust, someone that knows what they're doing. You don't have some random person just go over the application and you hand it in when it comes to your fight. You know you're being tested. So you failed the test before, okay? And you're fighting Deontay Wilder, a guy that is looking for, well, I can't say looking, but he's making sure every opponent that he faces is drug tested. He's taking the same test. So he wants his opponent, he wants it to be fair. I don't blame him. I don't blame, at least the way with boxing is now, I don't blame him. So you can't blame Deontay Wilder on that. All right. Now, as far as the conspiracies are concerned, I'm not going to get into all that. Like, you know, I heard Gerald Miller, and I like Gerald Miller too. You know, I like him. I think he's good. I think he's good for the sport. You know, he's very, very outspoken. You know, he reminds me of a typical Brooklyn dude. People from Brooklyn think they could be anybody in the world. That's just how they are. He's very arrogant, but that's just how people from Brooklyn are, you know? But anyway, as far as the conspiracies, the WBC, there are some things that I don't like, all right? But I can't prove any of that, you know, as far as, you know, I thought it was kind of strange how the WBC, like I read an article that the WBC wasn't really suspending him. The WBA did suspend him. But the WBC, you know, I think Ortiz may be gearing up for another fight soon. And then all the other stuff that I talked about before, way before this fight, on all of this stuff, where I was talking about the WBC and the rankings and everything. I thought the WBC, there's a lot of funny stuff going on with the WBC. I heard Gerald Miller talking about some of it, and I heard that, you know, I heard him say some stuff about them knowing that Ortiz was on something. And listen, even if that's the case, at the end of the day, if you fail a drug test, you fail a drug test. All right? If you didn't notify the WBC of this medication that you're taking, that's your fault. I can't. You can only go so far with the conspiracy. You know, you only can go so far. At the end of the day, you know what you're putting into your body. And you have to notify these guys. If you don't notify them, then it's going to look bad on you at the end of the day. You know? It's the same thing with Povetkin. You know, when people were on here making videos and making an argument that it's just traces of meldonium. If this is traces of meldonium, and they were making an argument that they didn't need to cancel the fight for these traces. Well, there's ways that you can mask these traces into it being something else that's being taken. You know, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you know, there's ways that traces or just a little bit of drugs can mask, or certain drugs can mask other drugs and stuff like that. All right. Just do everything right. If you're part of the drug program, just do everything the way you're supposed to do it. All right? All right, I'm very disappointed that Wilder didn't actually fight Ortiz. I've been wanting to see that fight. I wanted the Povetkin fight, you know? But if these guys are popping on drug tests, and if they're failing drug tests, that's their fucking fault. That's it. It's not Wilder's fault. It's not Wilder's fault. It's not his fault. All right? I know it's a coincidence. Every time, I know that's another thing. It's a coincidence. Every time Wilder's stepping up to fight an elite heavyweight, they pop and they fail on drug tests. And it is a coincidence. But you know what? If they fail, they fail. You can only take it so far. They failed the test. Maybe they legit failed. Maybe they were taking something. Maybe they were taking something because they were scared to fight Wilder fair and square. Maybe they see that he is really a threat. You know? I see it. I think he is a threat. I want him to fight better people, but I can tell that the guy is really a threat to any heavyweight. You know? Maybe they're seeing what I'm seeing. Maybe they're seeing what a lot of people think. You know? Maybe they're seeing what Joshua and Hearn is seeing. This guy is a dangerous opponent. You know? And they want to go in there and they want to have some sort of an advantage. You know? Povetkin, he was on meldonium when it was legal. All right, so he already had an advantage when he was fighting all of these other fighters. When he was knocking out all of these guys leading up to Wilder, he was already using it. He had the advantage there. Okay, he had an advantage because it was legal to take it. Well, then it became illegal, you know. It is what it is. You know, and then Ortiz, you know, he's an older guy. He's stepping up too. You got to also look at it in both senses. Ortiz is, not only is Wilder stepping up and fighting a good fighter like Ortiz, and a dangerous fighter like Ortiz, but Ortiz is stepping up to fight Deontay Wilder. Ortiz hasn't fought anyone that's on Deontay Wilder's level. So here's a step up for him too. And plus, Ortiz is an older guy, you know. How is he going to hang in the long run with a guy? If Wilder is giving him some issues because he's younger and he's quick and he punches hard, you know, you got to add that in. What, you know, maybe he's going into the fight with the idea is I need some sort of advantage. You know, you can't just look at it where, all right, you know, Wilder is just trying to find a reason to get out of it. Okay, well, maybe this guy just want to have an advantage against Wilder. You have to look, you got to be fair. I try to be fair in every single video, you know, that I do. You got to be fair. You got to be fair. You know, whichever way you're taking it, you got to be fair. Okay? These guys, Wilder is a threat at the end of the day. He's a threat. He's a threat. You know, he could be getting outboxed, and just like that, he comes around and knocks you out. You know, we saw what happened with Spilka and everything, which is still my favorite Deontay Wilder fight. You know, that was the most competitive fight he'd been in, and I thought it was a very, very good fight. A fight that I regret not going to. All right. I know Spilka is like a nobody now. I know he's lost again and whatever, but at that time it was a good fight to me. All right, and it was a good fight. So to close all of this out, I would like Wilder to fight Anthony Joshua. Okay, if Anthony Joshua is not going to fight him next, if he's going to fight him 2-3 fights down the line, and between that time, I would like Wilder to fight some other good heavyweights. Okay, Joshua is still fighting good fighters. Okay, he didn't fight Pulev, but he ended up fighting Takam. Some people think that was a better fight. Okay, me personally, from a stylistic standpoint, I'm not saying that Takam is better than Pulev. I think Pulev might be able to beat Takam, okay, because Takam has either had a draw or he's lost when he's always fighting another elite heavyweight. Okay, he's either lost or had a draw with them or something like that. All right, but he's a tough fight. But from a stylistic standpoint, I think Takam was a better fighter for Joshua to improve, because I think Pulev was very similar to Klitschko, and it would have been a better fight for him to prepare for him, being that he just fought Klitschko, and Pulev has a lot of similarities there. Dangerous fight. It was a dangerous fight. Pulev has a great jab, okay? He's a very good fighter. He's definitely a top 5 heavyweight. But Takam and his movement, okay, the way he was slipping, his upper body movement and everything like that, you know, has a lot more. He's a lot more mobile. He's a lot more more athletic than Pulev. I think that was a better fight for Joshua, at least to improve in. Okay, a fight that I think Joshua should have won, but I thought from a stylistic standpoint, I thought it was better for Joshua. Okay, Pulev might be more dangerous, you know, because he has a great jab and he has a powerful jab at that. A jab that I think could possibly rock Anthony Joshua. But the thing is, the reason why I picked Anthony Joshua to beat Pulev in that fight is because if Anthony Joshua would have ambushed Pulev, all right, and put the pressure on Pulev, all right, start using his size and his power against him, the combinations, I think that would have been too much for Pulev. Pulev wouldn't have been able to handle it, okay? Would have been a lot of holding. It would have been a lot of, you know, because Pulev doesn't move that much. He has a great jab, but outside of dragging fights to the later rounds, he doesn't really have that many, he doesn't have that many tools, okay? Doesn't really go to the body like that. You know, he doesn't really have that much. I thought Takam brought more, he had more to offer for Joshua. All right? That's just my opinion, though, all right? But I would like Wilder in between this time, up until whenever he does finally fight Anthony Joshua, I would like Wilder to fight some good fighters, you know. I would like Wilder to fight, if he could, you know, fight Dillian Whyte, you know. Dillian Whyte, if you fight Wilder, make sure you're clean. You failed the drug test before, too. We don't need another one. We don't need another guy that is game enough to possibly give Wilder a good fight to fail. All right, we don't need any more of those. All right, we don't need any more failing drug tests. There's other fighters out there for Wilder. I didn't look. I should have looked at the rankings before I made this video. I don't know who else is up to fight Wilder, but the Dillian Whyte fight makes sense. Let's make that fight in the UK. More build up for the Joshua fight. And the unification match between Parker, whoever can get to Parker first. You know, Parker fights Joshua, or if he fights Wilder, that's cool. Either way, it's cool. You know, but I want Wilder to fight someone good. You know, even if it's Gerald Miller, fight Gerald Miller. You know, I think Gerald Miller is a decent fight. I think the White is more proven than Gerald Miller. But you know, Miller's a solid fighter. You know, he's tough. He's a big guy. As big as he is, I think he weighed almost 300 pounds fighting Gerald Washington. He was still able to stop Washington, and you know, for a guy that big, he has pretty good conditioning. You know, he's going to be tough. I think he's even tougher than Stiverne too. I think he's also another fighter that's tougher than Stiverne was, especially in this rematch. You know, so that's a solid fight. I think the Brazil fight is probably going to happen. All right. I don't hate that fight. You know, I don't hate it because you know, Brazil has done his thing. You know, he's fought some good fighters and he's beat them, and he's only lost to Joshua. You know, he's only lost to Joshua, and there's some bad blood there. You know, these are all reasonable fights that I think is possible. I think White is probably the best one if it's not Joshua. Obviously, if not Joshua or Parker, but these are names that are throwing around that I'm throwing around that I think are believable, reasonable fights for Deontay Wilder until Anthony Joshua, because we already know Joshua, he's bringing the big money. That's the super fight at the end of the day. You know, that's the super fight. Unfortunately for Wilder, Joshua is in control of that. If we're being realistic, let's be realistic. Joshua is going to be the one that's going to make that decision. Hearn, Joshua, it is what it is, because they're bringing the money. That's going to be Wilder's hugest payday. All right? It's going to be another big payday for Joshua. Okay? That is the fight. That is the fight. Unless one of them loses, that is the biggest fight that could be made in the heavyweight division right now. Okay? Everybody's talking about that fight right now. In between that time, though, these are the people in this order that Wilder should be fighting, in my opinion. Okay, first Parker, because he's a title holder, he's undefeated. Okay, that's a unification match. All right, it should be Parker. If you can't get it with Parker, get it in with Dillian White. Make sure there's some package there, though. All right, you want me to fight Dillian White? Stand his ground. Deontay Wilder to hold his ground. You want me to fight White? Come out there in the UK and fight him? Well, make sure that if I beat White, make sure I get Joshua next. You know, put that in writing. Put that in contract, all right? If it's not going to be Dillian White, make it Dominic Brazil. You know, Dominic Brazil just won on that same card. You know, he's fought good. He's done good against some good fighters. I think Wilder will wash him pretty easily, but I mean, he's a decent fighter. If you can't get the other fights, you know, get that fight. Or, you know what? I would say it's a tie between Brazil and Gerald Miller. You know, Gerald Miller, still undefeated. He wants to fight bad. He's talking a lot. Throw him in there. You know, those are the fights that are believable fights that I think could happen for Deontay Wilder. Joshua, as far as him, he could fight whoever he wants at this time. They throw the money and they could get the fight popping. I haven't had any problems with any of Joshua's opponents. I don't know if he's going to fight Pulev now and try to work that out, try to get that going. I don't know if he's going to fight Parker next. I don't know what Anthony Joshua, but he seems to have all in control on who he chooses to fight at the end of the day. You know, everybody would fight him. You know, Tyson Fury, I'm not even speaking on him until he's sure and he's definitely coming back. All right, so I'm gonna leave that alone. So anyway, long video, but had a lot to talk about. Make sure you guys hit subscribe. All right, sorry for the videos, man, but you know, it is what it is, man. I'm a busy guy, man. I'm a busy man, and I'll see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.